Hey everyone, it's Ben Hardy here, and in today's we're going to be looking at the Off Highway Van Doc Holiday Edition. Before we get into this video, I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Off Highway Van for giving me some time with this Sprinter build. I'm going to include a link to their website in the description down below. If you happen to be interested in converting your van or happen to be interested in this type of van in general, just ask for Ben. Like I said, link to their website in the description down below, and let's get right into it. So before we get into all of the crazy features on this Sprinter, I want to talk about the van itself. This is a 170, so it's the longer version, and it has the high output diesel. It's a 2024 model year, so it's Mercedes 2-liter turbocharged diesel, and it's pretty crazy with the power for a van. But with that being said, let's get into all the features. So starting with the front end of this van, it's kind of hard to see because it's at the very top, but we do have a light bar there for added visibility at night. And then down below, you can see the custom hood design. This looks really cool. Now, something that I think that's also very practical about this is you can see how it's got a satin finish to it versus the gloss paint. This is actually going to reduce glare by a pretty large amount. Now, being a Sprinter or a new Sprinter, you've got the nice LED lights. You can see the fog lights down below, and then we've got this California tuned front bumper. We've got a Warn winch integrated into it as well. You can see the recovery points here, so it's got everything you need from an off-roading perspective when it comes to recovery, but it also looks cool. On the side here, we've got these 32-inch tall tires. You can see the Method wheels. I think those look fantastic in contrast to all the other elements on the van. And then you can see pretty aggressive tread pattern there with the tires. Now we've got the Dark Star side steps. So Dark Star is a sibling company to Off Highway Van. So everything that you see here with these steps, it is all designed and fabricated here in Utah, which I think is so cool. And then we also have the Dark Star rear suspension with this as well. You can kind of see that whole setup right there. Kind of hard to show with the camera, but again, that's also fabricated here, so fully custom for the Sprinter. And when you put it all together, it gives the van a really cool stance, and obviously it adds practicality with, you know, providing extra comfort off-road, but then also a bit more capability as well. And then popping over to the rear, you can see we've got the Al Van rear tire carrier with this, so even the spare is a Method, don't you worry. But yeah, this is cool to see with the whole ladder system that goes up to the top, which will pop up there in just a little bit. But something else that I really like, this right here, the little step on the back, that's some nice added practicality. And you can see with the receiver hitch there if you want to tow anything with the van. And then here's a quick look at the rear of the van. You can see the Off Highway Van decal there on the back. Always got to have a little bit of branding. And then this will be fun to see from the inside there. But that's most of the exterior stuff, so let's pop up to the rack. Up top, we've got 360 watts of solar, you can see there at the end. We also have AC as well. And this rack, you can actually walk on this rack, which I think is really cool. So if you need to do anything up there, well, this is something that can actually bear your weight. The coolest option with this van so far that we've seen is this right here. So this, you can see, is a glass roof. And I don't know if you guys can kind of see the seats inside there a little bit, but once we pop inside, you'll see it makes the interior feel a whole lot more open. But yeah, you can see custom fabricated everything. So yeah, just a really cool thing to see in person. A couple more things before we pop into this van. You can see the bump outs here on either side, also custom fabricated here in Utah. And this allows you to actually sleep horizontally in the van, or as they say, east to west. And then the last thing that I think is the coolest is we've got a limited slip differential. So some of the models that they sell, they'll put a limited slip with it. Again, also custom made here. So that's going to help out quite a bit with getting traction off-road. I know you were just staring at the wheel, but you just have to imagine it's underneath there. But that's cool that it has limited slip. So popping into the rear of the van, we've got quite a bit. First off, we've got the whole shower head situation, nicely put there. And then you can see the tank here. So 30 gallons of fresh, 15 gray. So still really big capacity, but notice it doesn't take up all that much space. I reviewed some other vans recently, and the tanks and the electrical came out to like all the way over here on both sides. They actually have all the electrical right there. So they've done a lot to actually save space in this van, which I think is really cool. And then you can see with the outlets here in the back, and then everything here for the shower down below as well. And then another cool thing is this actually is a sliding tray that can pop out as well. And It's got a toilet. You can't go wrong with this. And then here's what that tray looks like while it is extended out. And payload on this is roughly in that like 500-600 pound range. So I mean, that is quite a bit that this can handle. So as you pop up to the van where you're going to enter, you notice this Girard awning. It'll automatically retract at about 20-ish miles an hour with wind speeds to protect the whole system. But it's always nice to have so you can basically go on an adventure and still have some extra space outdoors, but not getting battered by the sun, right? Now the first thing to mention inside is going to be the seats up front. So these are custom tan leather seats. I think they look absolutely fantastic. So it gives even the driver area a more custom feel compared to what you're normally going to get in a Sprinter. The rest of it's going to be stock Mercedes, right? But yeah, those seats look great. So this is Lagoon table. It's actually movable, so you can have it over here, but you can also have it over there as well, which is really cool. And then you'll notice right here, these are attachment points. You can put 2 more captain chairs in this. There's already more chairs. You'll see that a little bit later. But you could basically set up a dining area. So you have a couple chairs here, and then you've got this table that you can move as well. So pretty cool setup. Again, it's very house-like is a good way to explain it. Now, I know these floors look like they're just fancy floors you might see in an upscale house. These are marine grade, so this is what you'd see in a boat, for example. So they are waterproof. Again, they actually expect you to use this van, take it outdoors, all of that. And so that's another cool part of it, just having durable floors that are waterproof. Now you notice this little work surface right here, and below it, we've got a shower inside. So you've got the shower head for outside washing, then you have inside washing as well. And I think this touch right here, that's really cool. Again, it just makes it feel a little bit fancier. And then we of course have a refrigerator, and interesting, this one's a door that slides outwards. Most of the fridges I've seen in vans, they kind of pull out to the side. But yeah, this one is huge. It's probably the biggest one I've seen in one of these conversion vans. Yeah, really nice actuation there too. Oh, we of course have a sink, so here is a little drain area. And I like how they have this little cover here, so you could use this as more kind of like table space and everything. But yeah, look at the finish on there. And then induction stovetop here as well for cooking. This right here is my favorite part. So this is the tabletop part above the shower. It's got a strut, so you can raise that, and you can hook the shower head up to the top. So you have a standing shower here inside. I don't know, I think that's a cool feature. And like the double practicality thing, I think is really appealing as well. And no van is complete without a microwave. You always gotta have a microwave so that you can cook those frozen burritos while you're out in the wilderness. Now when it comes to the AC unit, it's a 48 volt pneumatic system. My favorite part about this is, first off, you got the vents right there. But secondly, you have the control just right there in the center. It's super straightforward. You got physical buttons. And so I feel like that's pretty foolproof. Some of the AC units, again, I've seen in other vans, they're kind of complicated to use. Now, sorry about the lighting in this shot, but we do have bug screens in this as well. There's one in the rear too, so you can have both of the doors open if you want. And then of course we've got to look at storage. So we've got quite a bit throughout, and this is cool for the garbage can. I don't know, I think that's a pretty cool setup. And then we've got more drawers, and they have a click actuation so that while you're driving, it's not going to fly open, right? It's sturdy for that whole setup. And then you can see more outlets here. And then we got all of our controls here as well for like the lights, for example, and the water pump and the heater and all of that. So again, very accessible. And then the last thing in this little area, you can see the little screens here to control everything. Pretty self-explanatory. And then up top, I like the headliner here. That's pretty cool. We've got these dimmable lights, 3-zone with the lights. You can see all throughout the top. And then you probably saw in some of the other shots, but here's that glass roof again. And just look how much more open it feels in the van. And I like this with the recessed lighting. I think that's a really cool touch. And speaking of this recessed lighting, you probably noticed this paneling here. This is CNC aluminum paneling. Makes this conversion van about 1,000 pounds lighter than most of the other conversion vans. And you still get windows, by the way, so you don't lose any of your visibility throughout. But yeah, with this lightweight paneling, I mean, first off, feels durable. And on top of that, it means that you're going to have less wear and tear on the suspension and other components in the van. And I guess while we're up top, I'll show you guys the cupboards here. I mean, pretty standard stuff all the way across. Kind of reminds me of like an airplane with the overhead bins. I mean, it's kind of like a similar design. And this right here is one of the coolest aspects of this van. It's these seats. So first off, really nice leather seats here. You can see perforated down the center portion as well. So it just has that luxury car feel. And boom, we now have these seats in the bed position, a very, very comfortable bed. And this increases the sleeping capacity of this van by a massive amount. So you could do 2 to 3 people here, and then 2 with the top bed. We just have the headrests up there because you remove those to do the bed function. But yeah, that just really adds to the practicality. Now, one last thing I forgot to mention on these seats you can't see is they do have seat belts. So these are DOT compliant and everything. So you could have 3 people seated back here, and then you have, you know, the driver and then the passenger up front. So if you just have this configuration, how it's set up here, you have enough seats and enough beds for everyone. And speaking of beds, we've got the top bed. I kind of showed it already, but you can see with the windows here. And this is removable, so if you wanted to use the back for storage, like for bikes, for example, you can do that. But I just think it's so cool how the bed's under the roof. So just think about like waking up in the middle of nowhere and you just have this beautiful 360 view out of the windows, and then you've got that sunroof there too. And if you guys thought I was done, I am not done. We've got this 40-inch TV. This is so cool. So you can go anywhere and you can still have all of the stuff. I mean, literally, we have a TV, we've got a shower, we've got a stovetop, we have a sink, microwave, beds. I mean, this is literally a house. It has everything that a house has. AC. I mean, what more could you ask for? But yeah, it's got a TV. It's cool. So if you like everything that you've seen here and you're like, well, it looks great, but I'm worried about how long it's going to last, I've got some good news for you. We've got some warranties. So Mercedes, we'll point to the Mercedes store here. Mercedes has a 5-year bumper to bumper on the Sprinters here. So you've got that as part of the warranty. And then OHV has a lifetime Craftsman warranty. So, you know, stuff like the cabinets, for example. Like I said, I'll include a link to their website in the description down below. They have a tab that goes over the warranty information if you want to see more on that. But you've got warranty coverage. And so I just want to quickly cap things off with this conversion van. I reviewed quite a few of these conversion vans recently, and here's my thoughts on this. So first off, really good warranty on it. I love how this looks. It's got all the off-road stuff, and having the custom fabrication I think is really smart because it means they have more control over the van itself, not only from like how it drives and everything, because they're the ones that make the suspension, for example, but also quality control with it. When you use an aftermarket manufacturer, you're basically at the whim of whether or not the worker at their aftermarket company, you know, did their job or not. So I think that's really cool on the van. Really good use of space as well. Looks, like I said, looks fantastic. So let me know what you guys think about this build. But yeah, it might not have the crazy big flashy name brand that you have like with Storyteller, for example. But man, they made a good van.